Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa and today I'm here to do a spoiler-free review of We Are the Ashes, We Are the Fire by Joy McCullough, which just came out very recently and I was so excited to get a review copy from Penguin Teen, so thank you to Penguin Teen. The reason I was so excited about this is because it's actually from the same author as Blood, Water, Paint, which was one of my favorite books from a few years ago, and this one follows a pretty similar premise, but it is a young adult. And it's set in a more modern setting, so I was really intrigued by that and wanted to see what the author did with it. The main character is a modern day teenager whose older sister is raped while she's away on college campus, and the rapist goes free without any prison time or basically any punishment. So the younger sister is really frustrated and really upset about that, and she's watching her older sister's life be ripped apart in front of her while the man who did it is facing no consequences. And this book follows the younger sister as she's kind of working through those feelings, and in doing so she becomes very inspired by and interested in this story she heard about a 15th century French noblewoman named Marguerite de Bracieux. Her family's castle was attacked by an army, and during the attack Marguerite and several other women in her household were raped by the soldiers, and those women kind of came together and learned how to fight or something, but they end up like going to the army and being like, we want to join up with you so that when you counterattack that other army, like, we want to be the ones to kill those men. Yeah, understandably, the main character becomes very intrigued by that story, and she decides that she wants to write a book about Marguerite de Bracieux and tell her story, which is kind of by proxy telling her older sister's story, with that kind of like fantastical twist of getting justice or revenge that she knows her sister is probably never going to get. So the story that she's writing about Marguerite de Bracieux is told in verse, and then the modern day portions of the story are told in prose, so it's kind of this nice alternating point of view. So this book touches on themes obviously of sexual assault and the justice system, feminism, the rage, like the justified rage that comes with stuff like that. But I think it also tried to delve into some other topics as well. For example, obviously the main character is not the person who went through this experience, but she is the one who's writing a story about it and telling her sister's story and Margaret de Bracieux's story, who are women who did experience this, and it kind of goes into the ethics of that. And that kind of gets into why my own personal feelings about the story were a little bit middle of the road. Overall, I did enjoy it. I think it is a good story that, especially for a teen audience, it has a point and it is making its point. But for me personally, there were some things that I was kind of turned off by. Like I said, it focuses a lot on that like rage and that desire for vengeance that the younger sister is feeling, which is totally valid and perfectly realistic and understandable for her to be feeling that. However, for me, I felt like the exploration of that felt a little bit flat and a little bit black and white, and I think the book was intending to point out the need for nuance, but I don't know if it ever quite got there. So for me, the fact that the main character was so flawed and like so unlikable, she was really frustrating to me because she is kind of inserting herself in this scenario, making her sister's life even worse, and like not listening to what her sister was telling her she needed, almost making it about herself in a lot of ways. Which again, I will keep reiterating, like perfectly an understandable reaction from a younger sister. Like, I totally get it, and I think the book did an amazing job of portraying that, but I do wish it had been a little bit more clear in kind of like correcting that behavior. Despite the fact that it is pointed out and it is touched on, I just never really felt like we got resolution on that point. Like, I never felt like the main character truly grew in to the realizations that she needed to make by the end of the story, in my opinion. So yeah, that was something that kind of like really turned me off to the book. But again, like I said, I didn't hate it. It was enjoyable to read. I think Joy McCullough is an incredibly talented writer, and her prose and her verse is so gorgeous and beautiful, and it conveys such emotion. When I read Blood, Water, Paint, I was actually crying in the airport, like crying in public because I just couldn't help myself. And I think that this book, while I wasn't as emotionally connected or like invested in it because of the things that were turning me off to it, I think that Joy McCullough's writing is just as strong in this book. Like I said, I think especially for a teen audience, I'm trying to think back of when I was first being introduced to like the concepts of feminism and when I was first realizing like how unjust and how unfair the world was. I think that this book portrays that, and I think that a lot of people would find it extremely relatable. I think that's all I have to say about this book specifically, but thank you so much again to Penguin Teen for getting me a review copy of this, and thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if there are any like historical or like legendary stories that you feel really drawn to and you really take inspiration from in your life. I would love to know. I love that kind of thing. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope I'll get to talk to you soon. Bye!